On a French vessel, Lo allowed everybody on board to go free except for the ship's cook, who they, quote, said being a greasy fellow would fry well in the fire. So the poor man was bound at the mainmast and burned in the ship. So that's cool.
He's really good stuff.
Yay! I mean, people really like putting him in our fan fiction here for all the really heavy BDSM and sexual. Hello, and welcome to a Halloween episode of Our Flag Means Fan Fiction. Today on our episode, we've got a bunch of guests. We have Tessa, our resident sexy ghost, who is at the height of her sexy ghost season right now. How is it to you with your ghost season, Tessa?
It's very spooky, Ringa. Everything is spooky as hell, so...
Accurate. All right, we also have Lau, who likes to dress up like a pirate and play with swords, and probably know best that I'm going to say. Yeah, you were just dressing up as a pirate this weekend, weren't you?
Yes, and I will be doing it for the next 3 weekends in Delaware.
It's too cold for Ringa.
It is, which is like why I'm dressed how I'm dressed, which is the black shirt, black pants, black leather vest, which looks like my favorite pirate for some odd reason.
Funny. You know what? You're right, because when I go to a Ren fair and I dress up, I am dying. I am always too hot and I end up taking half the thing off. So yeah, this is probably the perfect time for a Ren fair. So never mind what I said. We also have Judy, who also probably knows all these stories, but may or may not like to play dress up. Do you like to play dress up, Judy?
Well, since I'm currently in my breakup robe and pajamas, we'll go with no.
That's an Ed Peach closet cosplay. And lastly, but not leastly, we have Andrea, who might be more into vampires than ghosts, but is happy to join in anyway. Say hi.
Yes, exactly. Hello. Yes, if you have any pirate vampire stories to share, that'd be my preference. Thank you so much.
You know, I don't today, but like that's a good goal. I know there's like a ton of vampire AUs on AU, so there's a lot. There's one I keep seeing recently that's like, oh, yeah.
No, now I'm gonna be so mad because there's one and it's like in my brain, but I can't remember the title of it.
Well, remember at 3 a.m. and then you get the second so I can read it.
Vampire Izzy, and it's so good, but I can't remember it. Oh.
There's a Vampire Izzy one that has just recently finished. Is that the one you're talking about? I haven't read it. Yeah, this is great because we don't know the name and we're not doing a great job of explaining it. You know what? I heard one time someone say that listening to a podcast where they're trying to figure out something and you know the answer is the closest you'll feel like to being a ghost while you're alive. And that is appropriate for right now because I'm sure there are some people listening that know exactly what we're talking about and they're screaming it.
And I literally hate that feeling. So it makes me even less look forward to becoming a ghost.
Me too. It's like when you're watching Jeopardy and they don't know the most obvious answer.
Yes, I feel so bad I'm inflicting it on somebody now.
We're making ghosts. That's all. So I'm going to ask, instead of what's the most gay pirate thing that's happened to you recently, do you guys have any gay pirate Halloween stories? Doesn't have to be recent. It could be any time. Is there a time you dressed up as a pirate to go trick-or-treating? Is there a time that you were in a haunted place? Is there something where you were at a gay Halloween party and I don't even know?
I did once play an evil clown and I walked through haunted house.
A real haunted house or like an actor?
Well, it was a theater that was set up as a haunted house. And so we had punters coming through and I was in my little onesie and tights and horrifying clown makeup. And they would come into my little area and I would skitter out at them like a spider and do like some handstands and balances. And then I would bend over to a back bend and run at them. And my favorite part was just watching, like, especially like groups of young men who'd be like, "No, stay away from me."
I love it was easy of you torturing men by bending around and skittering, and yeah, that's great. I love watching that. Yes,
not very haunted, but tomorrow I'll be going to a Halloween party with my queer line dancing people, and me and the girl I'm dating will have matching costumes, so that's pretty gay. Yes, we are very cute.
You just went line dancing on the Queen Mary, right?
Yes, we did go line dancing on the Queen Mary, and it was a tilted dance floor, and it was actually quite challenging.
That sounds nuts. That sounds dangerous.
It was a little dangerous, and in fact, If only I had died, I could have become one of the ghosts on the Queen Mary. Missed opportunity. I'm gonna go wait. I'm just gonna sit on the boat and wait for death. I think it might plan moving forward. But yeah, excited about Halloween party tomorrow and gonna do some line dancing at someone's house. That's weird, but it'll be fine.
I dress up like a pirate every year for Halloween for the past 10 some odd years. Our neighbors across the street make their house look like a pirate ship, like a haunted pirate ship. So they didn't do it for 2 years because apparently they had some issues going on, but they put it back up this year. And when it went back up, I made an idiot of myself standing on the street going, oh my God, they're still doing the pirates back. Which, and then I realized everybody's looking at me. And so that was great.
I love that. You should need to send us pictures.
Well, I will try, yes.
I've been a pirate so many times, it's ridiculous. But after a while, I had to mix it up. So I was a vampire pirate, or I was like a pirate that worked at Dunkin' Donuts, or
Pirate?
Vampire.
a vampire.
It's my favorite term. I started using that a lot back when the vampire craze was kicking off with Twilight. I was like, vampires, though.
My new favorite word.
Wait, 2 years ago, I was a cowboy pirate. Is that like just a cowrit?
Cowrit.
Was a
Sorry,
cowrit.
donut. A Dunkin' Donut worker pirate. Would that be a dunkrit? I don't know. That was
Dunkrit?
You're dorit. Donut pirate.
Yeah, very nice.
I love you guys so much.
I dressed as a pirate one time when I was working at Starbucks, and so I guess I was a barista pirate.
Wait, I also work at Starbucks. Can we talk about this? I don't like LinkedIn, but that's really funny.
Yeah, for like 6 years, and it was hell. But
It's bad. It is. I'm still traumatized. And it was like when I was in college, it was 100 years ago. The trauma lived on. Anyway.
oh, yes. It really affirmed my love of hating people. So
The best part of my pirate costume thing, though, is I work with the elderly. So no matter what I wear, they usually think I'm just like a ghoul. And they'll be like, oh, you're a ghoul. And I'm like, no, I'm a pirate. And they're like, oh. And then, oh, you're a ghoul. No, I'm the Bride of Frankenstein. Like whatever you wear, they think you're just like a ghoul.
I mean, they can be ghouls too. I dressed up as a pirate at a nursing home one time for a scavenger hunt. And everyone was confused because it was like the middle of the summer. And I understand why everyone was confused, but that was good fun. I never dressed up as a pirate when I was little, but I did a lot like in college years and stuff. And I went as Captain Hook one time with a bunch of college friends. We all did Peter Pan. And I also dressed as Captain Hook to go to Disney World for their not so scary Halloween party. And I got to shake hooks with Captain Hook. And it was probably like one of my favorite days of my life. It was really cool. And then I got to ride the Peter Pan ride and the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, dressed with Captain Hook. And they have those at Disney World, they have those like pass things to like find out how long the line's taking. So they'll give them to someone and then you give it back to the person.
I love that they select me for that. I feel so important.
Yeah. Well, they gave me one and I forgot I had it. So I went on the ride and then we got off the ride and I was like, oh, well, guess they shouldn't have given it to a pirate, but
I just stole it as a pirate would. Also, I just would like to point out you've had many, many, many celebrity encounters, as you have told us. I love that your favorite of your celebrity encounters is hooking hooks with someone in a costume.
It's not my favorite. It's one of my favorites, but yes, I do very much enjoy it. Also, during that performance at that Halloween party at Disney World, the villains all come out and do a dance on the stage. And there was a point in the dance where Captain Hook got on one knee and like kissed Maleficent's hand. And I was like, do I ship them now? Oh, yeah. So that was good. But probably my most relevant pirate costume for this is 2 years ago, was right after our flag meets death had come out and we had done cosplay of our flag. And so a bunch of us did it for Halloween just because were busy and didn't have time to come up with new ones. So we were at my friend's bar and I was dressed as Steed. And then we went to a after hours club afterwards. And while I was there, I ran into an Ed cosplayer, or I guess it wasn't cosplay because it was Halloween night. So it was just like people's costumes, but it was really funny to run into an Ed while I was dressed as Steed, like not at a convention, just out in the wild. And I was like, Ed, I found you. And this was literally like 3 months after season 1 had come out. So we weren't all maddened and heartbroken as much by then, but that was a really...
And then you fell in love.
And then we fell in love. No, I never saw them again. And I think they were a little confused by me, in fact, because
I was not exactly meant to be, but
I was so excited. meet him. And they were just like, okay, hi.
I feel like if you're dressed as Ed and you run into a steed,
Right.
you should be excited.
Right. Especially not at a convention. Even at a convention, I'm excited. But like, just at a random after hours Halloween party thing. And it was very obviously Ed from our Flag Bean Step. Like, he's definitive, you can tell. So
If it was right after season 1, maybe he still had the breakup stuff in his brain.
maybe he was like, how like when is it Mary Ann's thing and Ed's like, ugh, that's
Yeah, you left me. Ugh.
gross. Perhaps. But anyhow, I was excited to see him. It was very exciting. It was about 2 a.m. in a sex club dance party gay bar. So, all good. I met that person as I meet a lot of people surrounded by penises. And now let's get into ghost stories. What spookier thing can I bring us into ghost stories with than penises?
Ooh.
So while I was doing some research, and I'm going to put that in air quotes because it's just Googling at this point, and I was looking for some like historic ghost stories that involve pirates. There aren't that many, or there aren't many short ones. Let me put it that way. There's a long
Live to tell the tale.
Right. That's right. Or even, like fictional ones or whatever. There's a lot of longer stories and there's a lot of modern stories. And it's like, I was looking for something older. So basically, I'm going to read you some things that had to do with seeing some ghosts on ships, some ghost ships, some ghosts of pirates, some haunted pirate places and things like that. And I'm sure that Lau and Judy are familiar with the general history of the robberies and murders of most notorious pirates book by Charles Johnson or Daniel Defoe, depending on what day it is and who you're talking to. But that book has several quotes that I pulled to talk about some of these things. That book was made in the 1720s. So that's a nice, good old story. That's what I was looking for. Something old, something where I wouldn't get sued if I read it on this show, something like that. So one of the first and most interesting things I found was from that book, and it was a passage that was about a possible ghost that was sighted on the Queen Anne's Revenge, which was Blackbeard's ship, just in case anyone, the big one, the main one, the exciting one. But here's the quote from that book, and it said, "Those crew who were taken alive told a story which may appear a little incredible. However, we think it will not fair to admit it since it was from their own mouths. It was once upon a cruise they found out that they had a man on board more than their crew. Such a one was seen several days amongst them, sometimes below and sometime upon deck. Yet no man in the ship could give an account of who he was, or from whence he came, but that he disappeared little before they were cast away in their great ship. But it seems they verily believed it was the devil." I think that's really cool.
Great.
That one got me really excited because I was like, oh, I had never heard until like doing this research, never really thought about, but pirates are superstitious as hell, right? And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and somehow I'd never
Anybody doing any kind of seafaring, especially back then, you had to be superstitious as hell because what else were you going to lean on?
what else were you gonna do, right? But
I also Catholic because you know how Catholics love the devil and superstitions.
well, I mean, it's funny though, considering they were sailing with Blackbeard, who a lot of people thought was the devil, So I guess if you're not going to be scared by him or by any of the other pirates, and
He's
stuff,
just your boss.
he's just your boss. I mean, what's he going to do? Shoot you in the knee? So, yeah. But I love that there was like many accounts of this ghost supposedly on the Queen Anne, and I hope it was a real ghost. I think it probably wasn't the devil.
Somebody's boyfriend who they snuck on board.
Oh, that's actually a really great take.
Oh, yes.
I like that. Okay. Yeah. I think if it was the devil, we would have like heard something more about it. Like something else would have happened.
Maybe somebody's boyfriend was the devil.
Maybe. Perhaps.
Again, if it was a man, the odds are good.
This was the thing.
It seemed like it was a man presenting person, but that doesn't mean anything. Maybe it was Jim.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh.
Maybe it was Jim. Maybe Jim was the devil. I think Jim would like
Sexy of them.
get
it's very
simple and get onto someone's ship and haunt them.
It's very sexy of them, and that does point towards it being Jim.
Mhm.
So there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
There you go. That's logic.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to a little bit of some stuff about Charleston. Okay. Charleston is like the pirate place. It's like all the good pirate stuff, not all the good pirate stuff, so much good pirate stuff has happened in Charleston. Guess what? I've never been to Charleston, which is wild to me. I've driven like down that way a billion times. I don't live, I mean, I guess it's kind of far, but it's like, a day's drive. So it's on my like next year's summer to-do list to go drive down the coast and see all these piratey things I have never seen. Because I've been to, places in Georgia and stuff, but not much, a little bit in South Carolina, but like very, very south. So have you guys ever been to Charleston? Any of you?
I've done the Charleston, but not very well.
Stupid. I love that. I have been, but I didn't do any pirate stuff, and now I'm full of regrets.
Closest I've got was that. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
The closest I've been is that we drove through it because my sister went to college at Wake Forest and we ended up driving through it. And I was sitting in the car with my mother yelling, no, I want to go there. I want to go there. Pirate stuff. And I think it was like maybe 18 or 19. And my mom just looked at me like, what is wrong with you? And we kept driving. So we did not get to stop. So I drove through it, did not get to see any pirate stuff. And I too am full of regret.
I have been to Charleston numerous times. Before there was FMD, I was already way into pirates. And of course, our buddy Steed was hung there. So I was there. I'd actually read the Trials of Steed Bonnet, the so-called original forms that were in the Charleston Library at that time. They're not there right now, but you do have to make an appointment and you think it's like this big thing, but it's this disgusting, grimy little room in the basement where they let you read it with gloves on and then you have to leave. You can't take notes. But yeah, so I've been to Charleston a couple of times and it is very spooky and they have very good ghost tours at night. They're excellent.
Everywhere in the South has amazing ghost tours. It's fantastic. That's one thing I did. We were in Savannah for a total of one day and I was like, we're going on a ghost tour. That is the only demand I have of being in Savannah is going on a ghost tour because they have a pirate house there too, that was supposedly the inspiration for Treasure Island. That one, Treasure Island. But yeah, I have also really been into pirates like my whole life. And I don't know why I've never gone on any of the historic things, but yeah, it seems like now that I'm an adult and can do what I want, I'm going to do it. But also like they have, for anyone who doesn't know, they, in recent years discovered where the actual like sunk ship of the Queen Anne's Revenge is. And you can go to the lab where they do a lot of their research on what they're pulling up from that. But you have to make an appointment and it has to be like with a group, I believe. And I was trying to I didn't go to the rally at GalaxyCon last year, but I was trying to get everyone who went to make a side trip to go visit the lab. And no one wanted to drive that far because it was like 3 hours away. And I'm like, but it's worth it. So yeah, Charleston is, famous hangout for many, many, many pirates. That is where Blackbeard had his famous blockade of the city, which we won't get into really today because we're going to do a history episode of Blackbeard. And yes, he was hung in Charleston. It has a pirate house there that is supposedly where pirates stayed and met up with other pirates and did, money exchange and drinking and other dirty things. And
Do you want a tiny piece of linguistic nuance?
Sure.
When it comes to the act of hanging in terms of an execution, the past participle is actually hanged. So a man being hanged and a man being hung is a very different thing. It is fanon that Steed was also hung.
Well, that is true. That is also, yes. Yeah. Big Dick Steed is like quite a thing within this fandom. Oh, so for this one, I wanted to read this excerpt from a book called American Hauntings by Mary Beth Sammons and Robert Edwards. It is about, it's not actually in Charleston, it's in Beaufort, but close to enough, not even at all. I meant to put this before I started getting into Charleston, but here we go. This is a place called the Hammock House. Anybody familiar with the Hammock House? Okay, cool.
It's comfy though.
I feel like hammocks, as they were back in the day, were not comfy at all.
Oh.
Hammocks we have now are comfy. Okay, so the Hammock House is not only the oldest house in the seaport town of Beaufort, North Carolina, it might be the most haunted house in the town as well. The house is constructed in the Bahamian style of architecture common to Beaufort's older homes. The house was constructed to serve as an inn for the sailors and other travelers looking for food and lodging. Once a hideout for the infamous pirate Blackbeard and his crew, the now privately owned home keeps North Carolina's most notorious pirate spirits alive and kicking. According to legend, Edward Teach, better known as Blackbeard, was a guest of the inn while his ship was being reconditioned. Blackbeard is rumored to have had 14 wives. One of them was an 18-year-old French woman. It is said that he got angry with her, so he hanged her from a tree in the backyard when he departed. So she was buried right there in the yard, and her ghostly screams can now be heard on nights when the moon is bright. So there you go, Tessa. They're hanged in the past.
Razor.
But yeah, exactly.
What do we think about that? What a dick.
I mean,
Not good to be a Blackbeard goofy.
the thing is, like, yeah, I think Blackbeard is both not as bad as he's made out to be, and also a lot worse.
Yeah.
So
I have no words. My eyes just keep getting bigger. Like every sentence, I'm like, huh? His what? He did what?
what?
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know shit about pirate history, so everything's a surprise to me.
I love that. Well, don't do that. That's my disclaimer.
Don't hang your partners when you want to break up. Just break up.
Oh, dang.
And that is
You already have 14 wives, bro. Like,
that is like a piece of advice that we still need going on to this day, apparently, because people do be murdering their partners when they court them and shit like that. I don't understand it.
I'm also watching right now a reality show called Seeking Sister Wife, which is very good. So I do think that would have been a good fit for historical Blackbeard, I guess. And,
Oh my God.
14 wives, not enough. Get more.
You would make such a reality show. You'd be one of those like flavor of love type things.
Absolutely. The star of the show, Seeking Sister Wife.
I'm always just like, dude, you still only have one dick. And
As far as we know.
You know,
As far as we know.
and no matter how many dicks you have with the pirate lifestyle, you are going to have like whiskey dick so much of the time. Like, what is that about?
So much syphilis, so much gonorrhea, so much syphilis and gonorrhea, one STD.
I'm like, and look, this many wives, you are compensating for something, bro.
TDs, let's go back to Charleston. And that's a reference to his located, not to Charleston as a city. I love you, Charleston. So there's a place there called the Old Exchange in Provost. And this comes from an article from the As Today by Alexandra Garian. So located in Charleston, this landmark dates back to 1771 and was originally constructed to serve as a commercial exchange and customs house. During the building's 250 years in existence, it is also operated as a museum, city hall, military quarters, and post office. The building's underground dungeon, however, held pirates, enslaved people, and war criminals. Upon entering the dungeon today, building visitors claim to be met with screams, dancing orbs, and other figures. One individual in particular, Colonel Isaac Hayne, was among the countless individuals kept locked away in the provost dungeon before his execution. Hayne was charged with treason and was hanged in August of 1781. Shortly before his public execution, Hayne was kept in what is now known as the Colonel Isaac Hayne room in the upstairs level of the Old Exchange and Provost dungeon building, where some believe his spirit remains. Legend claims that en route to his execution, Hayne passed his sister's house, who cried out and begged him to return to her, which he said he would do if possible. Some claim to still hear the sound of his boots pacing up and down the street at night, returning to visit his sister as she requested. So
That's nice.
that just gives me this vision of like them marching him down to be executed while his sister's like leaning out the second story window, like yelling at him to come back. And it's interesting to live on the route to a hanging place.
I guess, like, I don't know. I don't know how big this city was at the time, but a lot of places were small enough to really only have kind of one main drag.
Well, I'm pretty sure this was like a really big city because it was a city in service of the king, and so it's kind of a big deal. They just maybe she just liked living near dungeons and execution places. I don't know. It was probably a good
area of really good rent.
Yeah, exactly. That was probably part of it. But, when this was like, before it was all that, before it was what it is now, it was like a prison, and nearby Ed and Steed had both been locked away in this area, and it's very close to where Steed was hanged, which is at what is today called White Point Spartan. And they say Steed's ghost is seen sometimes too.
It's fabulous.
Oh, I bet. I didn't see a ton of stuff about Steed's ghost on the internet, but I feel like until recently, a lot of people didn't know much about him and probably wouldn't have known if they ran into him. So maybe.
I've been on that tour to Provost, and a lot of people do say that they hear ghostly noises. We were with a guy who was slurping on a soda, so that's all I heard was slurp.
What? Oh my God, I would have knocked him out.
Yeah, the spoils. Yeah, but I have also been to White Plains Garden, and of course, I knew who Stede Bonnet was since I'm like 8 years old.
Right.
So we did go on those tours as well. Sadly, I did not see anything ghostly other than this soda slurping guy, but it is very cool. Very spooky at night, too.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Maybe the soda slurping guy was the ghost.
Maybe that was
it's like historically, I guess thought it would be like a good candidate for a haunting because he wrote letters pretty much right up to the last minute begging for his life and say, I don't deserve this, or, if nobody else, I have money. Please do not hang me.
He did not go gently into that good night. Poor Lord. He was very loud about begging for his life. And, in true Steed, in which I do love that they incorporated a lot. There's, as you guys know, there's a lot of kind of half history things in the show where they like clearly read the history and were like, well, we're not going to do that, but we'll do enough about that to suggest the existence of it. But I really do like that Reese really went with Steed being very pathetic, and especially in the first season where he's like, this guy didn't last long. He had honestly, he was so lucky to have just gotten to work with Blackbeard at all, but man, that guy was not suited for this.
No, he was not.
No, but you know what? It makes for a great story. So
it does.
Thanks, Steed, because now we have all these gay pirate fan fiction stories because of you. Okay, I'm going to move on to probably my favorite story that has to do with pirates and stuff ever, which is the story of Blackbeard's death. And this comes from a book called Spooky South by S.E. Schlosser. So this is just a fun little telling of when Blackbeard died, which there are so many different takes on this story and so many different legends that come from it. And it just delights me to see all the, this is like the OG pirate telephone where like it gets wilder every time you hear it. But in November of 1718, Blackbeard retreated to his favorite hideaway called Teach's Hole off Ocracoke Island. There he hosted a wild pirate party with drinking, dancing, and large bonfires. The party lasted for days, and several North Carolina citizens sent word to Governor Alexander Spotswood of Virginia. Governor Spotswood immediately ordered 2 sloops, commanded by Lieutenant Robert Maynard of the British Navy, go to Ocracoke and capture the pirate. We're not even going to get into the deal about him not even being a pirate at this point, because that's for a future episode. We're not going to get into the details. Anyhow, on November 21st, 1718, Maynard engaged Blackbeard in a terrible battle. One of Maynard's ships were between Blackbeard and freedom. Blackbeard sailed his ship, the Adventure, in towards shore. It looked like the pirate was going to crash the ship, but at the last second, the ship eased through the narrow channel. One of the pursuing Navy ships went aground on a sandbar when they tried to pursue the Adventure. Blackbeard fired his cannons at the remaining ship, and many of Maynard's men were killed. The rest he ordered below the deck, under cover of the gunsmoke, hoping to fool the pirates into thinking they had won. When the pirates boarded the ship, Maynard and his men attacked the pirates. Outnumbered, the pirates put up a bloody fight. Blackbeard and Maynard came face to face. They both shot at each other. Blackbeard's shot missed Maynard, but Maynard's bullet hit the pirate. Blackbeard swung his cutlass and managed to snap off Maynard's sword blade near the hilt. As Blackbeard prepared to deliver the death blow, one of Maynard's men cut Blackbeard's throat from behind. Blackbeard's blow missed its mark, barely skinning Maynard's knuckles. Infuriated, Blackbeard fought on as the blood spouted from his neck. Maynard and his men rushed the pirate. It took a total of 5 gunshots and about 20 cuts before Blackbeard fell down dead. Maynard seems to believe that the only way to ensure Blackbeard was dead was to remove his head. They hung the head from the bowsprit and threw the pirate's body overboard. As the body hit the water, the head hanging from the bowsprit shouted, "Come on, Edward!" and the headless body swam 3 times around the ship before sinking to the bottom. From that day to this, Blackbeard Ghost has haunted Peach's Hole, forever searching for his missing head. Sometimes the headless ghost floats on the surface of the water or swims around and around and around Snitch's Hole, glowing just underneath below the water. Sometimes folks see a strange light coming from the shore and know that it is Peach's light. On the night...
Is it Teach's light from Teach's Hall?
Yes. On nights that the ghost light appears, if the wind is blowing inland, you can still hear Blackbeard's ghost tramping up and down and roaring, "Where's my head?"
Singing it at Teach's Hall, shouting about where its head is.
Blackbeard's searching for
Teach's Hall. Blackbeard's Teach's Hall. Is the wind also blowing from Teach's Hall?
Yeah. I hear it's really wet down there.
And I look at my head. Out there, look at my head. The wind is blowing from Beach's Hole. Okay.
It's very Rasputin core of how to play. That's a very scary story. Were you guys scared?
Terrified, right?
Yes, I'm very scared of Teach's Hole and Teach's Head now. We're having nightmares about that.
About Teach's Hole? Absolutely. All of us reading about Teach's Hole, restless.
Yep. Tossing and turning all night.
Where's my head?
Looking for head.
There's an episode of The Golden Girls where Rose has her Girl Scout troop and she's telling them ghost stories, and there's a headless ghost that is saying, "Where's my head?" And the one girl's like, "If he doesn't have a head, how is he crying out?" And Rose is like, "He's crying out from the heart." In this case, he's crying out from the hole, I guess.
Oh, from the hole, baby. How does he kiss?
How does he kiss?
With his hole.
From the hole.
I have to save that one to the end, but you know what? Just had to get into the hole.
We needed the extra time to talk
And the head.
Yeah,
the hole and the head. Exactly.
The hole in the head.
So important.
I don't think it would have been half as scary if it wasn't the way that Ringa was telling it. That made it 100% so on peak. I loved it.
Chills.
Yep. I'm glad this episode is designed to scare you guys. So I hope you won't be able to sleep for days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's move on to Ned Lowe, our favorite. You know what? Ned Lowe has truly become a favorite of this fandom. And since the season 2 debuted, I really wished they had made him like the big bad instead of Ricky. Not because I don't love Ricky for his own reasons, but man, Ned deserved some like chase and catch time to torture some people, and historically that was fucked up.
Yeah, that when I first watched that episode, I thought I had accidentally put on Criminal Minds. I was like, is this a Criminal Minds episode? Because that's very much the vibe.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
totally, absolutely, yeah. So the real Ned Lowe was pretty fucking sick. He was only pirating for 3 years. He captured at least 100 ships. Most of them he burned. And just like we see in the show, he loved torture. Loved to torture things. So one of his favorite torture methods was that he would tie a victim's hands up with ropes between their fingers and then set the rope on fire so that it would burn all their flesh and their bones and stuff in their fingers. He also put matches between people's fingers. Yeah, what a dick. I mean, those guys were dicks, but like this guy was a lot of a dick. Yeah, he went way beyond hanging his 14th wife. He went way beyond. He chained, mutilated, burned. He, whipped people. He did all the normal stuff, and he sometimes would force people to eat their captain after he captured a ship. He used to cut off people's lips and other bits of body parts and feed it to them. So he's like a low down, bro. He had some stuff to prove, I guess, to I don't know who, but yeah, he's kind of like the OG like horror movie monster because he's got a lot of. He's like the killer in the horror movie, but like on cocaine, like he's got, if you saw this horror movie, you'd be like, okay, there doesn't need to be all that much. Like that's too much, right? That's the kind of guy he was from
Daddy issues.
probably. I mean, from the general history book we were talking about earlier, there is a quote that said, about Lowe's ship, the pirates cut and mangled them in a barbarous manner, particularly some Portuguese passengers, 2 of whom being friars. They triced up at each arm of the foreyard before they were quite dead, and they repeated this several times out of sport. So, yeah, he was just doing this for funsies. There was no real
Pretty low.
for the lulz.
Well, in Criminal Minds terminology, that would be overkill.
Yeah, you think
Just a bit.
I just, once again, what a dick.
right. But I do now that you say for the lulz, that literally encompasses his entire career, which was like, whatever, burn him up. On a French vessel, Lowe allowed everybody on board to go free except for the ship's cook, who they, quote, said being a greasy fellow would fry well in the fire. So the poor man was bound at the mainmast and burned in the ship. So that's cool. He's really good for
Yay.
I mean, people really like putting him in our fan fiction here for all the really heavy BDSM and sexual torture things and body horror stuff and whatnot. So it's nice that we have a character to act out those roles for our fandom. Yeah, in real life, Ned Lowe, not super duper great guy. He was kind of awful, kind of really, really terrible. So yeah, it's that guy. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, and apparently they don't know what happened to him. He just disappeared.
Yeah. A lot of people say he was executed, but like there's so much no records of anything.
And then he's the Zodiac killer.
Yes. No, man, the Zodiac didn't have the balls to do what Ned was doing.
Well, because he's how many years old? I'm bad at math. So he's probably right. So, he doesn't have quite the energy he used to have. Definitely still alive, though, for sure. So had to, tone it down a little bit.
I think it's, and then it was Cruz.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And now he roams the earth as Ted Cruz.
Well, with God. I was going to say, it does strike me as the kind of guy who okay, there may be no record of an execution, but it does sound like the kind of guy who at a certain point, his own crew would just be like, you know what? This is a bit too far. This is a bit too far. And then you end up dead.
Yes. But I mean, that kind of guy, you'd be afraid of him because.
Which again, but again, there is fear that acts as control, and then there is fear that expands to the point where you get collective action. And that is the kind of species we are. And we see this in other primate species as well, where you can maintain that kind of control out of fear for up to a certain point. And then the other apes are going to tear you to pieces.
Clearly what they needed was Stede Bonnet to show up and, reverse, but and make him walk the plank, and which is simple. I think what we really need is a time machine. So we can go back and this is what we'll do with the time machine. Go back and just watch what the pirates are doing and write books about it. What do you think?
His own crew called him the greatest monster that infested the sea. So your own crew is down on you to that level. I think you have to be a pretty big dick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He was, I think everyone, it's funny. I have one of his flags that I put up at my pirate parties, and I don't think most people get it, but that was probably the scariest one to see coming for you. Oh, Ned, it's better when you're playing your fiddle and having orgies with people in our fanfic. Anyhow, let's talk about the Flying Dutchman. So the Flying Dutchman, you've probably all heard of it. Even Andrea, who doesn't know pirate history, has probably heard of the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah, from SpongeBob SquarePants.
It's my only reference. I'm like, oh, yes.
Well, yeah, that's all you need. That's all you need.
Exactly. It's every kind of pop culture thing you can imagine. It was in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. But yeah, I forgot it was in SpongeBob, which, there you go. That's teaching the next generation about pirate ghosts. So it's a legendary ghost ship that's never able to make port and due to sail the seas forever. And it's supposed to be an omen of doom. And if you see it, like, you won't ever see the shore again. And stories of the ship date back to the 17th century, and it supposedly glows. And some people say that it can send messages to shore for you, or it can send messages to the dead. Basically, any kind of legends, type thing you can imagine has been said about this ship. And some have explained it away as an optical illusion caused by light reflecting off the water, but that's not very fun, is it? So here is a passage from a book called A Voyage to Botany Bay by George Barrington from 1795. I had often heard of the superstition of sailors respecting apparitions and doom, but had never given much credit to the report. It seems that some years since, a Dutch man-of-war was lost off the Cape of Good Hope, and every soul on board perished. Her consort weathered the gale and arrived soon after at the Cape. Having refitted and returning to Europe, they were assailed by a violent tempest nearly in the same latitude. In the night watch, some of the people saw, or imagined they saw, a vessel standing for them under a press of sail, as though she would run them down. One in particular affirmed it was the ship that had foundered in the former gale, and it must certainly be her or the apparition of her. But on its clearing up, the object, a dark, thick cloud, disappeared. Nothing could do away the idea of this phenomenon on the minds of the sailors, and on their relating such circumstances when they arrived at port, the story spread like wildfire, and the supposed phantom was called the Flying Dutchman. From the Dutch and English seamen got the infatuation but what has someone on board who pretends to have seen the apparition. Okay, so all that to say, now we have this, some people saw this thing in the shadows. It's the Dutchman ship, and now we're going to all spread it around like crazy, and here's the legend born. Excuse me. That one especially, being in a storm in the middle of the ocean, maybe I can give to some lights and some shadows and some clouds and things. You probably see a lot of shit when you're out on the ocean in the middle of nowhere. Like, I see shit in my apartment in the corner, that's probably not there. So I can only imagine if you're out to sea for quite a long time, you're going to be seeing stuff, especially when there's a scary storm.
Not to mention just like, there are so many really weird, really rare meteorological phenomena that, like, even now, like, if you described it to somebody, they'd be like, that didn't happen. Especially like if you couldn't take a picture, if you couldn't like get any way of like recording it, and you're just saying, you will not believe the shit that I just saw.
Well, that is the thing. Like, now, yeah, if there's not a picture of it, nobody believes it. Nobody believes anyone's word for it. So it's wild that we have history at all, because like all of history until very recently was just someone saying it happened,
And there are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold.
That's true. Accurate. Well, this account comes from Prince George of Wales in 1881. This is from his diary. July 11th at 4 a.m., the Flying Dutchman crossed their bows. A strange red light, as of a phantom ship all aglow, in the midst of which light the masts, spars, and sails of a brig 200 yards distant stood out in a strong relief as she came up the port bow, where also the officer of the watch from the bridge clearly saw her, as did the quarterdeck midshipman, who was sent forward at once to the forecastle, but on arriving there was no vestige nor any sign whatever of the material ship was to be seen, either near or right away on the horizon, the night being clear and the sea calm. 13 persons altogether saw her. At 10:45 a.m., the ordinary seaman who had this morning reported the Flying Dutchman fell from the top foremast cross trees onto the top gallant forecastle and was smashed to atoms. So that was especially interesting because it came from like royalty, and it's in his diary. And
he was a renowned drunk, Prince George of Wales, so that fits in the story real good. He was probably drunk as hell, and
person saw her,
but were they all drunk?
I don't know.
I mean, sometimes drunk people see things.
Don't try to explain this away. There was no storm on this one. The sea was calm and the night was clear. And who was it? The watch from the bridge saw her. So that guy probably wasn't drunk, probably.
Who's not that drunk?
But was he?
Maybe.
He was sober compared to the rest of them.
Probably was a little bit sober compared to the rest of them. I'm just saying. I feel like, now we've got at least 2 stories of the ghost ship. It's probably real.
I'm here for the ghost ship.
I'm here for the ghost ship. I
Would like,
ghost ship.
obviously this guy made it back to land. The other guy who fell from the top mast, he didn't make it. He was smashed to atoms. But
So thorough. No cleanup.
Yeah.
Consider it.
you know what? But this guy made it to shore. So that's it.
Is smashed to atoms like in Final Destination when that person, I don't remember who, gets killed by the piece of glass and they become like pink mist? Is that what smashed to atoms? Right, dismissed.
exactly
Got
what
it.
that means. Yeah.
Nice. I like that. Okay, very good.
Sorry, dissolved.
Just vaporized on the deck, which is why they didn't have to clean it up, Tessa, because it just became particles and floated away. I think if I was a ghost ship, I would smash someone to atoms, but then let a bunch of people go so they could tell the story about me. So this totally adds up as far as ghost ships. I'm a believer. I can see that you all are also believers based on my stories.
I couldn't leave if I tried.
Okay, so I was going to tell some stories about krakens and stuff, but then I was like, we all know the scariest story about the kraken, and it's told in the show. So what do you guys think? Do you believe in the ghost ships? Do you believe in the pirate ghosts? Have you met a ghost?
I have no reason not to believe in the ghost ships.
I believe in Ed Teaches Hole.
We all believe in that teacher's hole.
Yeah, I think that's probably my new religion.
Worshipful.
Yes,
Worshipful.
yes.
It's a fed hole.
I believe the sea's got to be a really, really haunted place because a lot of people die out there. And, also...
fish die. Do we get
a lot of
fish
fish die too.
I don't know. Probably.
I'd like some fish ghosts.
You know what? They're probably underwater, Tessa.
Well, I don't know. Look, ghosts sometimes float. So, why couldn't the fish ghosts, float above the water sometimes?
Maybe they do. I don't know.
Maybe that's the floating lights you see.
Yep.
Hey.
Full of all kinds of shit that's scary.
Right, and we don't know what's down there. We don't know what creatures are down there, nor what ghosts are down there.
I don't fuck with the ocean. I don't fuck with space because we don't know what's in all that.
Right.
And it's stuff that wants to eat me. And it's stuff spilled me and smashed me to atoms. And it's stuff that doesn't want me in its place. And I don't want to be in its place. So I remember.
Yeah. The ocean is scary enough. I mean, just from what we know is in there.
Yeah, it doesn't even need much to be scary.
Once you step in the water, you are no longer at the top of the food chain. There are very big things with very big teeth that will gladly eat you for lunch. And then,
I mean, maybe not. I don't think we taste very good, but still,
that's true. Yeah.
That
There's a thing. There's a particular type of shark that will sometimes bite a human thinking that it's a seal. And then
that's always every big shark.
Yeah.
They'll bite. And they're
For sure.
Yeah, and they'll take a bite, and then they're like, "Ew, gross," and they swim off because they're like, "Is it a seal? Fuck is that?"
That's the famous ew gross human shark.
Yeah. The scientific name is ew gross human. Also has a great white, but scientifically ew gross human shark. Although I do think that a tiger shark would do the same. So
I mean, I would do that if I was.
Oh
shark.
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe if I was a shark, I'd just want to get rid of all the humans because clearly we're not helping anything.
No.
Only me.
But you wouldn't want to eat us. You wouldn't want to eat us because just that's going to take a tasty meal.
Enough.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's limited ways to kill you besides biting you and eating you.
Oh yeah.
Then you need to go
They're
down here. I can't reach you. I have to bite.
If I could be any shark, I would want to be a Greenland shark.
What does that shark do?
Oh, is that lives for hundreds of years and nobody's
Possibly actually immortal, and they just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they swim very, very very slowly. And also that they smell like pee because of the very high uric acid content in their flesh, among other things.
Wait, how are you smelling a shark underwater?
Because so there are some cultures that do eat them, you have to go through a very complex fermentation process to make them edible due to that very high uric acid content. It's uric acid and something else, but anyway, yeah, it's a pea shark, and they live for like hundreds or possibly we don't really know how
Right. They do be living a long
time. Yes,
And they would know about the ghosts probably because they saw
information. Tessa, thank you for introducing pea sharks.
Someone asked the pea sharks about the pirate ghosts.
Oh, yes, definitely no.
They would think there's a lot of pea sharks at Peach's Hole.
Yeah, a lot of pea sharks.
That's amazing.
Come to this podcast for a scientific fact because we have everyone who's on be discussed with
Any podcast hosted by me, is full of factual information and very limited sexual content.
yes, you're so puritanical, Ringa.
Yeah. Well, speaking of puritanical, does anyone have any fanfic recs that have to do with ghosts or Halloween or hauntings or scary things or blood or pumpkins? I don't know.
I have two, actually, and they're both horror fics because I like horror fics and horror movies. And the first one is called Love of the Open Road is by Wednesday's Child, Wednesdays_child. And it's Steed and Izzy as serial killers that meet up together. And it actually has the line in it, what are the chances of two serial killers being in the car at the same time?
I love that.
And the second one is A Cabin in the Woods, and it's by Killer Weasel and Wednesday's Child. The Killer Weasel actually has a whole series of serial killer Ned Lowe fics. And this one has the crossover with the Wednesday's Child fics because it's Ned inviting Izzy and Steed for a serial killer weekend at his cabin in the woods that has a basement that is basically right out of Silence of the Lambs, and they kill a bunch of people and they talk about it.
I have heard of this series. I haven't read it yet, but yes, I have definitely heard this one. Killer Weasel has 80 bajillion million fanfics. And there's several people, you're one of them, that like just write. And I'm like, how you have the time for this? But Killer Weasel does a lot of like drabble kind of fics, and I swear they post one every day.
Yeah, they're really frequent. I will say with both of these, as a warning, if you can think of a trigger, it's probably in there. And these are so incredibly bloody and violent. I'm a Criminal Minds and horror movie fan. If I like these, you should probably all have the very forewarned.
Excellent. Tessa's on her way to read them right now.
I'm finding one. I'm finding one that I've just remembered as we're talking. So everybody else keep talking. I'll find this thing.
Do Andrea or Judy have any fic recs? I know I sprung this on you kind of last minute. Cool. I have one that I wrote for Happy Ed Izzy Week 2023, which was, this was posted in February, so well before season 2 happened. They still have Happy Ed Izzy Week, but I don't know how. Anyway, this story is called Dress You Up in My Love, and it is about Izzy going to a Halloween party in a couple's costume, and Izzy doesn't want to go. And Ed really wants to go because he really wants to win the couple's cosplay costume award. And so he convinces Izzy to go with him. And they are inspired by Vic's Gamer AU on what was Twitter. That's Sycamore 2012. If you are aware of them, they have all the most beautiful, lovely, filthy cartoons. And they put Ed in a skirt a lot. And it's very exciting. So for this stick, had them dress up. You'll have to read it to find out what they dressed up as. And
I will.
My AO3 is Spooky Scary Genderfuck, and links to all of those will be in our notes, of course. Tessa, have you found?
I have, yes. So this one is by Deed Bunnett, whose work I have recommended before, whose work I think a few people have recommended before. And then
Love them.
And this is not horror or anything. This is a very goofy piece of Halloween porn. It is called Well Fuck Me Gently with a Chainsaw. It's a modern AU. I'll read the summary. So after being dumped mid-date on Halloween for dressing up as one of the Heathers, Lucius, a good Samaritan, returns his date's wallet to his house and takes the opportunity to chew his dad out for raising such a shit son. Izzy has no son and is deeply confused, but he's also slightly hypnotized, and it's hypnotized but with the thighs. So that's, yes. Yeah, that is imitation. It's very cute.
This is crazy and I love it. Steve Bunnett is like perfect.
Delight.
Oh yes, so perfect.
I have a shameless self-rec. I just literally yesterday just posted a little Halloween story. It's not like gruesome or gross or anything. It's just a filthy smut.
I must read it.
Steve gets injured and Ed has a quote unquote nurse come to quote unquote take care of Steve. And I think you might like it.
Excellent. I love that already. Yes. Well, we'll put all these links in the story notes. This episode should be dropping on Halloween Day. So if you're listening to this today on Happy Halloween Day, Happy Halloween. And I hope you go do something that is sweet and spooky and scary and sexy and all of the Halloweeny things. And if you're listening to this after Halloween, also happy Halloween, because Halloween is every day. So you should, trust me, not all of our episodes are this wildly unorganized and crazy. That's just the one I host. So if you liked this episode, you should subscribe to our Flag Needs Fanfiction on all the social medias. Our Flag Needs Fanfiction, just all one word. And you can find us wherever podcasts are posted. And if you didn't like this episode, you should still subscribe to our Flag Needs Fanfiction, because there's other episodes that aren't hosted by me and it'll be great. And if you did or didn't like this, you should post about it on social medias. You should leave us a review. You should email us. You should message me privately and tell me I suck. And that would be great. I will definitely love to have a conversation.
I do it every day.
Hey, Ringa, fuck you.
Yeah, I am open to all the fuck you messages. Yes, I love it. But regardless, keep listening to this podcast. And our sign-off phrase that I have never learned this time is going to be: do teaches whole, be teaches whole, teaches whole. Thanks, everyone.
Yay! Happy Halloween!